I'm recording and I'm terrified because Joe is driving, but he insists that we shall begin now. And
it's all good. It's all good. I'm telling you. And I'll be home in 1 minute, so we'll finish that when I'm home. So no problem.
All right. Well, welcome to Joe Duplantier. Hopefully, I did that justice. I tried to give it a little French at the end. Duplantier.
You did it really good.
All right, thank you. He's a frontman for Gojira. He's joining us this evening. It's a Loudwire Nights first. We're going to be talking about their upcoming 7th studio album, which is titled Fortitude and arrives April 30th. Joe, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
No problem. My pleasure.
Thank you. All right, so these are always like a Where's Waldo type thing, these Zoom interviews. So I'm wondering if you're in New York or are you in France?
At the moment, I'm in France. I've been living here for the last 8 or 9 months, and I'm about to go back to New York with my family. So we spent the whole time with the pandemic, we were in France, where we were originally just visiting, and we got stuck.
May I ask how your father is doing?
Yeah, he's doing all right. Okay. He's doing okay. We got a little scared for a while, and he wasn't well, but now he's good.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Yes, I'm so glad to hear that. So let's go back before we go forward. Magma, which was number 6. I know it was, as I say, the best of times, the worst of times while you were making that record for you, your brother, and also the rest of your band members. What headspace did you all find yourself in? How were you all emotionally going into Fortitude? Did things kind of plateau out?
You know, Magma was a wonderful experience despite what was going on for us in our private lives, but very necessary for us brothers, at least, to stay creative and to put in our music everything we have inside. The turmoil, the sadness, the anxiety, the frustration, whatever it is, music is always helping us. So Magma was really one of these moments in life where I was so thankful to have that to help me to cope with what was happening. Yeah, moving forward to the new album, we had this intention to create something really powerful and a little less dark and sad, but rather more punchy and energetic. So that was roughly the idea, the intention we had.
Okay.
When we started to write, yeah.
Yeah, I read you referred to it as more joyous, and then there's the new song that's out now, which is Born for One Reason and deals with death. So I was like, okay. Can you tell us a bit about the inspiration for that track and how it came together?
You know, it went through many stages, and some of these riffs were present in the Magma era. So there's a bit of recycling going on, plus some new elements. And it was not meant to be an opener, but the minute we used that intro for the song, I thought this song has to open the album, and it's also going to be a live opener. I don't know what I can say about this one. It's pretty straightforward. We put some nasty riffs in there. And then during the chorus, there's something a little lighter and groovier that happens. And this is usually what we're trying to do with Gojira songs, to have a big, heavy side, very solid as a brick, and then also something more spiritual, a little up there in the air, the chorus, the high note guitars and stuff. And so I really like the mix of different elements in this song, and I think it translates pretty good, pretty much what the album is.
So you guys went from, I guess if we're following the progression of the band, right? Death metal, progressive, death metal, progressive. I don't know if you want to kind of label this next record or how you would best describe it as a whole.
Do I need to put a label?
Right, that's what I was.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's interesting, but it's not my task to do that. My mission, my goal, what I like to do is to play music and to transform whatever emotion we have inside, whatever intention we have. I use that word a lot, intention, because we put intention in our music. It's not just something that goes through us and, you know, we're just banging our heads. There's also very often, almost for every song, a very specific intention of touching people a certain way.
Yeah, I want to go back to Born. I want to go back to the song for a minute. The video was done in a museum, right? This beautiful thing. And I'm trying to picture what it was like. Yeah, so there's this metal band and they would like to shoot this crazy, song in the museum, and what that negotiation process was like. And then I thought, you have so many artists in your family, so you probably had a hookup.
Well, I like that version of the story, but unfortunately the reality is a bit different. We weren't in a museum, not the band. We did it in 2 times. So we shot the band in an old castle in France, and the rest of the story was shot in a museum in Belgium, but we weren't there in the museum. But we chose the location. We had Charles de Meyer, the director, had the idea of the museum. He wanted to use that museum, and because there was a lockdown and everything, it made it possible to access this place, which is one of the pros of what's happening now. Is some places are available when they're normally not available, or very hard to reach. And so he came to France to shoot the band, and we shot in a sort of a castle, manoir, very old house that looked a little bit like the museum. And then we put everything together to create the illusion that we're there.
Little production magic on that. Okay, it worked. You got me. And I don't mean to go backwards, but the Lowlands video just hit a certain way. That is the most beautiful video I think I have ever seen. And I was wondering, how did you have access to your old childhood home? How was everything intact? Or was that, I know your cousin directed that video, was that him putting things back into the home? How did that work?
That house is still owned by my family. My dad lives there. So it wasn't hard to go back. We often go back. It's our family house. And most of the things from my childhood are still in the house. The house didn't change much. It's an old house.
Yeah, I loved all the nature shots. It's a beautiful video.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I want to quote this correctly. You said that you want this record to inspire people to be the best version of themselves. And I wonder, do you think you've reached that point where you are the best version of yourself, or is that just like a lifelong mission?
Yeah, I would say it's a lifelong mission. I am not the best version of myself at all. If you ask my brother or my wife or my kids, if you ask my kids, I'm the best dad in the world, which is incredibly, it feels so good to hear that. I hear that every day. You're the best daddy in the world. But I think every dad can hear that from their kids if they're not messing up big time. But no, I'm trying to be, It's more a goal I'm trying to reach, It's more like something I'm aiming for myself in my lifetime. I'm trying to remember that every day. So basically, we could say that everything I write about in my songs is something I address to myself most of the time.
Interesting. I know you took a break from designing the album's artworks during Magma, but you're back at it. So the new piece is kind of like a warrior who leads with his heart, or at least that's the way I interpret it. What can you tell us about the design?
I wanted to express something on the cover that is very something pure and strong, that represents what we need to protect in this life and what we need to be. We need to be fighters, every single day. We can have the most normal life, in our Western societies, whatever normal life means, it's still difficult to wake up in the morning and to face all the things we have to do, even if it's just going to work, to take your job, to beat the traffic and everything. Or some people are really fighting for, to help other people to survive. They work in hospitals. Whatever you do in life, I think you need that strength, that inspiration of strength to make it through the day.
Obviously, fans are like super excited to hear these new songs in a live setting whenever that day comes. Do you ever think about like, what would it be like to perform Fortitude? Or is that just like from a fan's perspective where we're always kind of imagining these songs live?
Yeah, I don't know how, I need to get to work with the guys. We scheduled a few rehearsals for next week to get a feel, how it feels to jam these songs, and to, after working on these songs for so long in the studio and, pampering them and, fine tuning them and going into details and adding a little salt here, a little pepper here. But then you got to go back to the basics and be like, okay, let's do this. And you got to go for it in a very, very raw and simple way. When you perform the song live, it's a different thing. On the album, we put so many details everywhere. Then it's a live situation. There's 4 instruments, 4 minutes, go.
Right.
And it's sort of a challenge to rearrange the songs for live. Sometimes there's 4 different guitars going on in a song. There's little thingies that, serve a purpose. So are we dropping that, or are we going to play that? So if we play that, we cannot play that other thing. But usually there's always a great combination of guitars that can reproduce the feel of the album. Also, when you listen to an album several times, when you're a fan of a band, you have all these little details in your brain already. So when you hear the band live, if they don't mess it up, you can hear these things because they're pre-recorded in your brain. So all the little parts that we're not going to play, they're going to resonate. They're going to resonate anyway to anybody who heard the song many times. It's sort of a trick that happens. So we have to make sure that we play the crucial elements. And then the singing, of course, is always a challenge, but we'll see how it goes.
Do you feel like in your gut that, I mean, it's August, right? Yeah, the tour with Deftones set to kick off in August. Do you feel like that's going to happen? Are you hopeful, realistically?
I'm choosing to be, I'm sending it out there, the intention. I don't know what sort of difference it's going to make, but I like to think it's going to happen. That would be so comfortable. I don't know why I'm using that word, but I feel like it's a great bunch of people. We played with the Deftones a lot of times before in the past, and we always talked, to them and how great it would be to go on tour with them. And they always said the same. We got on calls several times. Are we doing this already? And finally it happened, and boom, it got canceled. So really, I hope it's going to happen, and I will be on the side of the stage listening to them every night because I really love the Deftones. So hopefully, fingers crossed. But if it's not happening, there, it's going to be mandatory to do it anyway in 2022.
It's happening at some point. All right, that's
at some point
it's happening. Reassuring. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think it was Rick Rubin who said that the universe is always conspiring for you, for your advantage. If you let it, if you listen. It was like on Serge Tankian's documentary, Truth to Power. He dropped that nugget in there. And then as I'm like getting ready for this interview, you learn that your first kind of exposure to metal came at the age of 14. The first song you learned how to play on guitar was Fade to Black by Metallica. You said it spoke to you in a way that other songs had never done. Fast forward, you're on tour in Europe with Metallica. Lars takes you to some bar or wherever you go. You meet your future wife. Like, I don't know what the universe is telling you, but like Metallica has something to do with it. Do you ever think of that?
So who told you that? Did I tell you that?
No, I
told the story.
You've said the story in the past.
Okay. Was probably summertime festivals, a few beers. Yeah, I see what happened there. I tend to stay a little private with these things, but I think it's a beautiful story, and I tell my kids all the time, Lars is practically their godfather, because and he knows without you, I wouldn't meet my wife, I wouldn't have my kids right now, because he's the one who told us to meet him at a bar, like a specific bar, and turns out I was my wife's favorite place to go. So that's how we met. Yeah, it was incredible. Metallica brought me so much, the inspiration, I wanted to be them at some point. I was pretty completely I was so in love with their music, when I was a teenager, and it really inspired me so much, helped me to go through high school, eventually made me, start what became my life today, my musical journey. And then they took us on tour and brought us all the way to Lithuania, where I met my wife. So this is absolutely, I know, it's crazy.
It really is crazy.
Yeah, I told that story 1,000 times, so I'm not surprised it end up in an interview. Yeah,
it's a great story. I thought it was very romantic. I thought like destiny, meant to be, totally meant to be.
Yeah. And I asked, my wife asked me, what are you? Are you Italian or French, or you look Italian? And I said, well, I'm French. What are you doing here? I said, well, I'm on tour with a band called Metallica. I thought she was going to be like, what? And in fact, she said, you're on tour with who? She had no clue who they were.
Oh, that makes it even better.
It's even better. She's not a metalhead, but I think she sort of is now.
Okay. I would assume her favorite band, Gojira, I would assume.
Well, that's what she says,
Happy wife, happy husband, you say what you gotta say.
Yeah.
Why did you go vegan?
Why did I go vegan? The question is why didn't I go vegan sooner? I think that's the proper question.
How long have you been vegan? Let me start there, because I really don't know.
So 7 years, but I've been vegetarian for a long time, for 15 years. 15 years ago, I was writing lyrics for one of our albums. I believe it was The Way of All Flesh. And, I was writing a lot about how people destroy everything basically on the planet. There's nothing untouched by humans. Even places we never go are suffering from human existence. Even the North Pole is melting, for Christ's sake. It's not like we're going there and starting a fire on the ice cap. We don't need to do that. We put fire everywhere in the sky with our cars and with our industries, and we're draining the oceans. And at some point I was really concerned about whales and sharks and dolphins, and I was looking at documentaries on that. How many, I think it's something very scary, but it's about 100 million sharks that are killed every year in the oceans around the world. Meanwhile, there's 4 people that die every year from shark attacks, but they're usually mistakes. They think it's a fish, and they will bite a human and then swim away super scared. So when 4 people die every year from shark attacks, hundreds of millions of sharks are dying every year. So who's the bad guy here? I don't think it's the shark. And if we kill sharks, it's because it's mostly in Asia, but they take the fins just to make fin soup because people think it's going to give them a better erection. So here we are, destroying dinosaurs that were here for 400 million years to be able to drink a soup to have a better erection. And it's not even the case. It's not bettering your erection. You can eat bamboo or radish for that. Anyway, so
this conversation has gone way over here.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
So yeah, why did I go vegan? I don't know. If there's so many reasons, but I don't want to hurt animals. I don't want to be part of this industry that mistreats wonderful beings like animals. It's one thing to hunt. It's one thing to go out there and find an animal and chase it and kill it and to survive and to feed your family. But we don't need to eat animals. I think it's proven by now. And so if I don't need to put them through that nightmare of factory farms and rape and taking away their kids to, for example, cows, you know that cows don't give milk naturally. They need to be pregnant and then to have a baby. And then there's milk coming, just like humans. So we make them pregnant. And then when the baby is born, we take the baby away and kill it. It's like that everywhere, every time. So of course, and there's a lot of misinformation because this industry wants you to think that they are treated humanely. It's rarely the case. So of course, if your grandma has a cow and a cat, and she has a calf, and there's a bit of milk coming, and she goes and takes a little bit of milk to do her cheese, and then you have the cheese, and everybody celebrates that cheese and savor it. Right. Of course, then there wouldn't be a need to fight, but I think we need to see what's going on. We need to see what's going on. Anybody with some common sense will be shocked to look at factory farms and milk farms also. They're almost the worst because of the baby thing. You need to what's the word? Impregnate the cows? Impregnate, and then take their babies away to take all the milk and put it in bottles. And then when there's no more milk, some sperm will come to her, and then there's going to be another baby. So I think about it all the time. It's very depressing, and I know vegans are considered like party poopers, or they want to, tell everybody what's up. It's not my case. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to force it in a conversation if people are not asking. But I'm asking. I'm glad you are. Yeah. So I can share a little bit of what I think about this. But I think we should leave animals alone.
Is that partially anyway what inspired Another World, which is the first track we heard off the album that was actually released last year?
Yeah, partially, yeah. I still love humans, and I'm not mad at humans, but what I mean? Like I speak like almost like I'm not a human being, but I am. Although I feel like an alien sometimes. But no, I love people, and I grew up eating meat and fish and drinking milk and eggs and all that good stuff. And I was a good person back then. I know it. And now I switched. I sort of took a new vision on the world. I made my decisions to act accordingly to how I felt every time I would enter a supermarket and see all that meat in front of me. And I would think, wait a second, there's a problem here. Why these body parts are here in front of me? And it's so good, but it's so gross. Yeah. And one day I just, jumped with my wife, which was a wonderful feeling. She was pregnant of our second kid, and she came to me one day and she said, I don't think I can have anything animal in my body. I'm like, yes, let's go. Let's do it.
That's the perfect time to do it. Yeah, what you crave changes. So that is perfect time to do it. So I've taken up enough of your time, some of which was in a car. So we'll wrap on this. What makes you most excited about people listening to Fortitude? Like on April 30th, you're going to be so stoked because people are going to hear this record. And
it's the beginning of a new chapter. That's why. When we release albums, we release songs, and then we become the slaves of these songs. And the songs are not ours anymore. They have a wheel on their own. They go out there, and people take the songs and they make these songs their songs. And then we're just here. We're serving. We're here to play these songs, to try to play them correctly without messing up. And each time we put new songs on the table, it's more opportunities to have fun on stage, and more diversity and so on.
Sounds good. All right. That opportunity, as mentioned, arrives April 30th. Hopefully in August, we'll get to see those songs live. If you get to go out on the road with Deftones, it's the 7th studio album by Gojira. It's called Fortitude. Joe, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I took more than I should have, but thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a good one.